Hello, welcome to the FAFFCast. I'm Grode. My friends here start with Evan,
Hello.
Callum,
We're back! Oh my god, look at us!
Daniel,
Hello.
Blake,
Hello.
and Liam.
Hey,
Why did you
Snack
say my
box.
name
dead
so
inside.
disappointing?
Probably because of you,
What?
Blake. It's taken us half an hour to get this goddamn
What do
thing
you
done.
mean? I've been trying to make
Blake.
it better, okay? That's not my fault.
Blake, the things you were
It
saying
is
weren't
my
even
fault
be
that I'm
allowed in the
trying to make it better.
bloopers. You know what I mean?
He was like,
Well,
Daniel,
that's
hi.
just your fault.
Blake.
You know, that phrase, entirely out of context, sounds like Blake has been saying abhorrent stuff.
Saying the worst things.
Blake's just an actual
Yeah,
racist.
saying the worst thing. Okay, this video was sponsored by tap water. Water
Tap-
from the tap.
It's
Such a
Thank you,
important
Tap
to
Water,
say
for the
right
generous
there.
donation of water. It helps us get this podcast done, and thank you very much.
Keeps us hydrated. Thanks, tap water.
Thanks.
Here's a live version. Here's a live version of me drinking tap water.
No. Oh my
Very
god.
cool,
I thought-
good tap
thought we
water.
It's like
Just
me-
no sound. There was barely any sound. It was just like
10 out of 10
Sounded
tap
like-
water right there.
Sound like you fucking shat yourself, dude. You just had chronic diarrhea.
It's-
This video was
Yeah, I
sponsored by
don't
tap
actually
water.
have any tap
Chronic
water.
diarrhea. Oh, fuck's sake. Just
I
No,
didn't
I
get
actually
that. It sounded
do
like
have
pots and
100
pans
tap
falling
water.
down a well.
Pots and
Endless
pans.
fucking well. You know, I actually got fucking disturbed a couple of nights back because I just found out that like death, like this, what happened. You know, when it's just like the world and the universe was created by like atoms and shit. I was just
Yeah,
like,
what the-
Yeah.
but
you mean
something,
God?
but but something
Whoa,
must,
whoa,
Bro,
no
they ain't-
racist content in the podcast.
but something must have created those atoms, and then whatever created that must have been created by something else, and it's just a
God.
continuous cycle. So
Yeah,
it's
quarks
God,
and
imagine-
no,
Liam
this has
left.
already
Liam.
been established in religious texts. God created everything.
Okay,
God was
if you
created
want
by
an actual
super God.
if you want an actual answer, it's the atoms.
Atoms
Atoms were created by quarks, which were created by
Quarks are made by
Quarks and stuff.
quarks are made by
high amount of energy. Because the Big
Yeah,
Bang
we
happened
would
because
do
all the
that.
energy was condensed
If
into one
energy
thing.
can't be
It's
created
made-
or
it's made
destroyed, where
of
did energy come from in the
energy.
first place?
Hey,
They're made
guys,
of
It's
energy.
heat. It's
hey,
vibrations.
Take
That's what
that
energy is.
talking over each other. Wow, talking over each other. Imagine being
Guys.
inaudible.
It really is inaudible.
It's kind of
Take that
quirky though.
sound.
If people listening want an explanation about why we're
Okay.
so shit right
Daniel-
now, it's
Daniel,
because
You
Said
do-
it twice and no one
You
laughed
do
in
your
comments, so-
take, Daniel. Then you do
thought it was
your
great.
take on Super God. What do you think about Super God? Think he's a good guy, huh? Or do you think he's an absolute dickhead?
He's probably. You ever see that movie, The Invention of Lying? The way Ricky
Yeah.
Gervais
Oh, that's
describes him
so
in that.
good.
You know, we
It's like
all
he's a prick. He does everything that happened. You mean my mom getting cancer? Yeah, but he also does good stuff too. He's a prick sometimes. It's like it's just that.
God just remind every
Kind of
every
an
time I
asshole,
remind of
but,
God, it just
you know.
reminds me of Life of Brian from Monty Python.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
such a good movie. I love it so much.
I think Super God, he's like pretty chill.
He's pretty.
He's a pretty
God does
stand-up
the
guy.
all the work. God like fucking.
God's like the
no, but he's-
chairperson and like the front.
He's
man.
kind of like
He's the
he's a
CEO of
lazy
Life.
shit. He's a CEO of Life. He's a lazy shit though, cause he like left the earth and just went to sleep. Like
Yeah,
what-
where
what-
did he
if-
go? It's been
gave
like
up If you think about it.
7 billion years. What the?
If, if you think about it, he created it in 7 days, and he only worked 7 days in his entire life.
Yeah.
that.
What a fucking.
Oh,
lazy-
what a
No. He's worked like a few extra hours because he's had to like
Oh, yeah, he had to kill his
banish
son.
people. He's had to like he had to commit arson a few times.
The fucking
Didn't he
kid.
drown the whole
Flooded the
world at one
entire
point?
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't he drown everyone at some
He
point?
drowned everyone besides Noah and like some animals.
Didn't he commit arson in like
Yeah, tell it
the
like
plants
okay.
in Jerusalem? Like
Yeah.
Didn't he
Dog
nearly,
caused
like,
the
cause-
burning of Cork?
You know, if anybody else did that, they'd be called a psychopath. But God is the savior. Ooh, that's not the case.
Ooh.
Okay.
Is
yeah,
anyone going to
God
address
can
the?
burn bushes in the middle of nowhere, and he's considered a savior. But when I burn my school down, it's considered arson and a felony.
Yes, that-
Wait,
that is what
it's a
called.
felony? Fuck.
Oh.
Yes.
I assume.
Dude,
If
I
death
thought it
is
was
involved, there's a good chance
I
it's a felony.
I thought it was a misdemeanor. I thought I'd get off with like a
Petty crime.
probation. God,
Petty.
Call
I thought
Saul
it was
does
a
cheat.
petty charge.
That's the
Petty
only. That's
arson.
the two things
Petty
they say
murder.
in Better Call Saul though. It's either a misdemeanor or a felony. That's the
Yeah.
only. It's just one of
So
the
the
two.
only two options.
It's either jail for
Which
the rest
one?
of your life, or community
Either the
service.
red pill or the blue pill.
Wait, what
Who
does the
trusts
Red Bull and the Blue Pill do in Matrix? I forgot.
It was
Um,
go
do
on
you
Know
know
living in
everything, or like no.
The blue pill means go back to his old life, forget everything, and not know the inner workings of the universe. And the red pill was like know everything.
Why don't just take both? Like they look nice.
The red pill.
No,
was
it-
just-
It's
but,
just double.
but that's the thing, Road. You can't do both.
You
The
sure?
red pill. Was
Try
just
me.
Xanax. The red pill was a
The
Xanax.
red pill was just acid, and he like woke up several hours later underneath a bridge, like completely naked with scars all over his body.
He's missing a kidney.
Or two.
Oh, fuck.
He's got like
No.
stitches all along his stomach.
Yeah. Just, oh, that's. Then the blue one is just you just get fucking knocked out and then you wake up in your bed and there's a fucking troll
Oh,
under your
what a
bed.
weird dream.
Oh, well,
Ah, that's weird. Now, time to go back to that bridge and do some fucking crap.
Imagine how boring that
Do
movie
some
would have been if you
acid.
just chose the blue pill.
Yeah. No,
What
I mean,
movie is this?
Matrix.
The Matrix.
Oh,
That would be the best part of the
never
movie.
watched it.
It's like, you know what? I'm not ready to. It's like, you know, the
What?
horror
Nah, I'm not
movies
bothered.
where, like,
Not
they
feeling
always
like
do the
that.
worst choice because of the plot. But it's just a horror movie, but it's just like, nah, I'm just gonna go back to bed.
Wait, no. Does he
They-
get?
They
is
hear a
he
sound
still
in the
broke
basement
when
and
he takes-
they're like really suspenseful. He's about to go down the stairs and he's like, nah.
Okay, you know what?
Please.
Fuck this shit. I'm
Like,
out.
he just, you know, he just like he hears a thing from the basement, yeah, the basement, and he walks over, and
basement.
you're like, oh my god, he's gonna enter the basement, and he just locks it and walks off.
Just
And
like,
it just ends there.
not my problem.
It's not my
He
problem.
locks it. He lays out a few like nails along the ground and just like walks away.
No, he locks the basement and then he just walks out of the house, just lights a match and just fucking lights his house on fire and walks down the street to a pub, and that's the end of the movie.
That's what I should have done the other night when there was that big fucking
When
spider.
there was a spider.
Oh, that's the biggest spider I've ever seen in my life. That was huge.
Fucking Daniel's parents just screaming. Like,
It was
what?
no man. It was unbelievable. Like
What?
Guys,
I
I'm
got-
sorry, I couldn't help it. There was a spider.
there was a
Like,
there was a
Spider
there was a pretty big spider in my room.
It was
Well,
out
what-
of my hand. It
wasn't
was out
that
of my
bad.
hand.
Hey, guys,
It
think
wasn't
about it
that
this
bad,
way.
Liam.
It was massive.
Missile
It was
launch
I'm
massive.
afraid of butterflies.
that's true.
Alright? Imagine what I'm like with spiders. You haven't seen me.
Just think about it,
Yeah,
guys.
but
Just think about it
you're
this way.
Okay with moth.
If Daniel burns down his house, and he is, that means that's a story that we can put in the podcast and get that
Not burn down the
content.
house.
Oh
Yeah,
my
if I
God.
burn down the house, I won't have a computer to use Discord on.
Well,
So I
phone?
Figure it out
Like
beforehand.
so Daniel burned down his house. Where is he? We don't know.
Probably dead.
We
Wait,
don't know.
He's
don't
kinda
need to
died
do
in the
that. We
fire.
can make content by like saying his plan as the content.
We could just
and then-
record his funeral.
Do the coffin dance meme.
FAFFCast vlog episode 1. Daniel's funeral.
Daniel's funeral.
Hey guys, I'm gonna pull a prank on Daniel. Watch this. Hey, look, I slapped your ass. Oh, why aren't you waking up?
Dude, wake up.
Bro.
Stop with the pranks. Oh yeah. I remember. Do you remember the? Do you remember the fucking
Do you remember that funeral,
Yeah.
Brian?
the abusive ones that quote unquote pranked their like children? Do you not? You know. Like,
Oh,
family-
Davey no,
Daddy
That-
05.
Daddy
Oh,
05.
yeah,
I was about to say
Davey
Davey 504. But I was like,
Oh.
wait.
They were
Davey
how-
504.
Thank God
Slap that child.
they lost. They lost two. They lost.
They lost custody of the kids.
custody of the two. Yeah. I'm glad
Wow.
because I saw.
They basically emotionally manipulated both of them. It's like, or like abused them.
no,
That's not cool.
Yeah, emotionally and like physically, just slightly in a way. But like I'd say, to be honest, that marked that kid for life. Like that was horrible.
Yeah,
I
you'd have
agree.
you'd have to be known as the kid
He's
who was
definitely not
the
listening.
son. You have to know
Yes.
like, that you're always going to be the son of Daddy 05, Daddy 5, Daddy 05.
Daddy.
Daddy 5-0.
Sorry,
Who's
no.
5-0 the police?
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
It turns out
Like,
he
He,
turns
he's
his
now
life
he's now Daddy Zero though, so that's good.
Mm.
he turns his life around and just joins the law enforcement, and he's now called Daddy 5-0.
Daddy
They
5-0 is like
make-
donut
they
operator.
make like a reality TV show about him.
No, it's like Daddy 5-0, but it's like dun 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 dun. Then when the drums come in, he's just him being his child.
Yeah, I saw a
Sorry.
video of him like flossing, and then the wife turned the camera and like, I married this guy, and then it's just like, yeah, you married a fucking abuser, congratulations, clap back. Like, what the fuck? It's such a like dick. Fuck him. I hate
A
him.
lot of people on YouTube are just assholes. They're all assholes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Remember when there was
Especially
that
guys
huge
who
like
do podcasts.
remember when there was like the huge thing like every Minecraft YouTuber turned out to be a pedophile. Remember that?
Yes.
That was
No,
like-
Vic,
Elf
Vic
Relief.
Star was okay.
That was really. What was
well,
it? It started off with like, what was the name? Lion Maker.
Lion Maker, yeah. And then there
Lion
was like
Maker
was
the
he?
first one.
Wait, what? Lion
I thought
way.
Asher was one of
Lion
the first
Maker,
ones.
yeah. Lion Maker was the first one. Found.
he was the first one, and then like everyone was like, then
Asher was
once
just
he
like a
got found
pervert or
out,
something.
everyone was like, this guy also this guy diddled me, you know.
That's hard.
Dan TDM,
Yeah,
the
I know.
confirmed pedophile.
Dan's safe as hell. Like
Stampy?
apparently Dan DDM is having or has a child. I don't know for sure.
He has a child, I'm sure.
Has, I think.
And that terrifies me.
Dan TDM's a sound dude. He's sound. I think he's sound.
Yeah, but he's childish.
It's like, no, but you know.
Evan,
Yeah,
imagine
anyone
me
with
having
the
a
name
child.
Dan is pretty
Yeah, he's
fucking
a-
dumb.
he's
Yeah.
They don't
compared to
deserve
all
children,
of
anyway.
He's a
compared
kid's
to all of the
entertainer, so you have to act.
Yeah.
What about Stampy? Do you think Stampy was a pedophile?
Yeah, no. I was
No.
gonna say-
Stampy wasn't.
No, Stampy was
He
fine.
was
He's
just
married
kinda
now.
weird.
Is he?
He's the
Oh,
like
congratulations,
he's the most-
Stampy.
He's the most likely to be one, but he's not.
Mhm.
He seems
Yeah.
like the one that
He's
would
just
be.
weird.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
just
no,
eccentric.
Well, his friend
Just leaving
was, so you know.
everyone
His friend was.
Who? Well, oh yeah,
he
Lion
can't-
Maker was.
But he doesn't. He
Was
wouldn't.
Elfrely? Wait, Elfrely
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
After
Was it?
After came out as a pedophile.
What?
Came out as a-
Iblistic Squid was unironically like the best out of all of them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know why he didn't get as much like.
I don't know
love
why
as
he didn't come out as a
Stampy
pedophile too. Like,
I
what the
think.
fuck?
I think. Was it Liam? Were you the one who always watched fucking Line Makers hide and seek vids?
Oh.
I
Actually,
didn't.
I want to ask you guys a
I was a
question.
Stampy long nose guy, you know.
I wasn't a Stampy guy. I was a Team Crafted kind of guy. Did anyone else here watch Team
Hell
Crafted?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
my
that's
guy.
Minecraft.
Hell yeah.
They're coming back. Team Craft is actually coming back. Have you guys been up on that?
Guy does
I haven't, no.
Minecraft.
No.
Spread is my
This guy does Minecraft like husky
Ooh.
mode clips. or whatever.
Jerome ASF.
True Moo.
Bashverse.
I never found. He always.
Wasn't Sunday in it too?
Yeah, Sunny was in
Sunny
it.
was in
too.
Sunny
He,
was
Me
in
and
it.
Like,
Callum were.
Like, when
Sunday's
you
the only
come
one I
to
still
Sunday, we had, like,
consistently
a
watch
religious
after
reawakening.
they broke up.
you know, the only thing I actually don't, I kind of like was a bit annoyed about Sunday. Was when Sky was like contacting him with Team Crafted, seeing if they would, think about coming back. And so like some of them were like, oh yeah, I'm past Minecraft. I'm doing music now. And Sunday he goes, yeah, I don't think our brands would work well together. And I looked at his channel and he's fucking playing Fortnite. Like, it hurt.
He's super Christian.
He's super
Yeah.
Christian,
There
but
was
it's
this-
He came on
Minecraft.
once
was
and he
this
was,
whole
he
thing
was
with
saying like,
yeah,
then his wife like divorced him and like took his kids. or
yeah.
something,
His wife
and he had,
like
like a
fucking
religious
left him, and he was like,
reawakening.
guys, I'm leaving YouTube, and he came back and he's like, I've turned my life to God.
He just returned to guys. I fucked up. I need money. I'm coming back.
I need
That's
money to
my
start a
OnlyFans.
church. Yes.
But like Team Crafted was
Sure.
honestly, I'm happy that I grew up with Team Crafted and Team 10.
Oh, okay, can I say something? Stampy was the man.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
no.
Yeah,
Stampy was sound. I think Stampy was pretty good content.
Stampy was like a
And
good
he made a scary
opener.
amount of Terraria videos.
Have you?
God,
seen
yeah, he
his-
made a
Yeah,
lot of-
no,
he made so many
I
videos.
watched his Terraria videos more than I watched his Minecraft ones.
Bro,
I
his-
Yeah, me
found-
too. They were yeah.
One
I think
thing.
it's
there was so much creativity at the time with Terraria, even like still more so than Minecraft. So like he got way more content out of it.
No, but did you not see his Minecraft fucking Lovely World series?
Oh my god.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, everyone's seen that. It
Like,
wasn't that bad.
I'm
It's pretty-
surprised. Every episode that guy produced on like that on his one world, he would always have like a new thing to build, and he would always
I
get it
think-
It
done
was
in an
amazing.
episode.
Yeah, it was amazing. He,
How
he
many-
made one
I
like
watched-
every day, didn't he?
Yeah.
Every single
It
day.
was for a
Like,
couple
how much
years.
And he would make
For a
stuff for
couple
how
like
many
every day.
episodes did he make?
he had like
It was,
300
it's over
something last.
1,000, I
Yeah,
think, is it?
like there's a lot on one world.
300 That's almost a year's worth of uploads where he does something different every single time.
I think he was really good at making content. to be
And
fair.
and then he also, that was only Lovely World videos. He also had a different series, Sky.
He had a hardcore
Sky-
Minecraft. Hardcore Minecraft was amazing. His hardcore Minecraft series with Ballistic Squid was
No,
absolutely
remember
amazing, and I loved it so much.
Watching his Skyblock series with, I can't remember the name of the fucking person now, but yeah, that was a cool time.
It was-
I Ballistic Squid's Skyblock was also very, very good.
I never like Ballistics. I always found him. He was good, but I always found him kind of plain. To be honest, I was like,
Ooh.
like
And it's kind of
Actually,
annoying
What
as
if you
well.
watched Callum and
Speaking of
Humpty
YouTubers
Yeah,
who
what do you
stopped
watch?
doing Minecraft, does anyone out here know Sam Gladiator?
No.
No.
I don't.
Dumpty? No.
Do you guys not know Sam Gladiator? Oh fuck. He was the one who did the you know when the Yandere simulator thing was big.
Oh yeah.
He did the Minecraft roleplay version of that, where he would he did the roleplay thing. He made it listen. Evan, stop! This is fucking quality content right here. This shit was hilarious. Okay, the other guy there, Tortoise, he fucking turned into One Punch Man for one episode. It was great.
Oh,
Excuse
I
me?
know why that reminds me of.
He turns himself into a
I
pickle.
saw like
It's
you
fucking
know
hilarious.
It's the
everybody
funniest shit I've ever seen.
everybody gives BuzzFeed shit right for
Oh, no.
and deserve
Hot take.
but they have
BuzzFeed's
this
bad.
they have this one series called like Haunted Things, and there was one where it was like they went onto this bridge that was apparently like haunted by a goat man or something, and you'd have to touch something or something, you'd have to tap on it or whatever, and it would annoy him or something. And then there's this one guy who strongly believes in it. He's like, okay, we gotta do this. And then there's one that just takes a piss in it, like he doesn't care. And then they just went on it. They just went on the bridge, and then one of the guys just started tapping and just go, "Oh, goat man! Oh, goat man!"
Good
Hey,
man.
man, will you come out and grace me with your
Oh,
presence?
yeah, no. BuzzFeed Unsolved is so good. BuzzFeed
oh,
Unsolved.
yeah,
I've watched most
yeah,
of those like
it's so-
episodes, and it's actually so good. They're so funny,
Yeah,
and they're like
because
really
it's-
interesting too, because it's actually.
I
It's, like,
just
true
watched
crime.
the bad ones just to laugh at them.
I just used the quizzes.
Did you see
I just do
minute-
the. What
I
type
just
of
use the
what
BuzzFeed
type of
quiz.
cake am I?
I remember BuzzFeed
Guys, I'm a
said
sweet
I
potato.
was tall, and I was it said I was tall, and I'm fucking 5'6".
There were tears in his eyes.
5'6" cunt here.
You know, Vox
5'6"
doesn't, get
Andy.
enough, Vox doesn't get enough credit for what they do. I think all of Vox is just incredible.
Wasn't Fox the one that did like a really interesting interview where they had a guy who was who did robbery like in the present day and someone like in Chicago.
No, I don't know if that's Vox or Vice. It could be either.
It did, but it was really
I think
interesting.
it's Vox.
Those are so good.
But they're both good.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they do.
they're both. But like Vox with their Darkroom, Vox Darkroom is so good. Vox Borders is incredibly good.
I think
What do
I
you
like
think of, do
Vice
you know,
better though. They do a lot more historical kind of stuff. They do.
Yeah,
lot
like
of,
Vox do more present day stuff.
Yeah, and I think I saw one of the Vice ones on like Troubles like nowadays or something, and go back to fucking they like visit people who's gone Nika, and it's actually really interesting and good that like
Did you say visit
Yes.
people who've gotten kneecapped?
no like family members and shit like that. I don't know. They just did a lot of interviews with people who've been affected by it, and it's actually really.
I'm about a
interesting.
Nico your kneecaps.
affected by losing their kneecap.
Going back to the Unsolved, I didn't see this one, but I saw someone was telling me about
Oh,
it. It was
goat man.
It was yeah. It was.
Oh,
it was-
Goatman!
Goatman!
yeah,
Go
no,
to man.
I think he also just screamed, "Goatman, you're a little bitch" or something, and nothing happened. And he was just like, "See," and then but there was another one. I was just told about this one. I couldn't find it, but there was one where like I know it was Billy or something. It was, and if you pick up like his toy airplane, he'd get really fucking angry like it, and then he just grabs it and it's like, "I got you, little airplane. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?" Just that, and yet nothing happens again. And but like the other guy's just there, just freaking his shit because
It's just funny
he's
to
starting
take the
to
piss
believe.
out of things that people
Yeah.
believe. That's why people
Or
make fun
no,
of religion
there
so often.
was one. Daniel, did you see this one? Like the Men in Black one.
Yeah, the Men in Black one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually that's scary because like the camera footage on that one, it's just like you
It's
see
like
these,
it's so low quality that it's like scary to see because there's so
Yeah.
little detail, but you can see what's happening really
you
clearly,
can
and you're like,
yeah
holy
and
shit!
and you
Like,
know
really-
that
What is it?
they look similar. It's
It's like there was like CCTV camera like footage or whatever, of like these two guys in suits who were like really fucking tall and they were wearing black suits, and it's meant to be like the Men in Black, and they're really tall, and it's just them walking through a lobby, but it's so like freaky looking
Ambiguous.
because you can see that they like you can see them like they like tower over everyone else who's there, and they're
Yeah.
both walking like the exact same. It's
they're
so
both
freaky.
both same skin tone, both bald, look similar like head shape, both like the same height, and didn't they walk in with bags?
They
or
walk.
something?
I think so.
Yeah.
Have any
and-
of you
and
got?
they-
Sorry.
They just talked and then walked straight back out, and it was just so fucking like weird.
It's
And
yeah,
then-
it's so scary to see it, and
Uh,
it's like really shitty camera quality too because it's a CCTV
Yeah.
camera.
Have any of you got
Yeah.
like any of you guys had any ghosty experiences? Because I have one. It's probably just like
See, I thought my old house in Ireland was haunted because the amount of times I was sat in my room and I just hear something like run across my ceiling, which is where the attic is. So it's this really tiny attic space that you could not get into if you wanted to, and I would always hear something just running through that really quickly, and I had no idea what it was.
Oh, and your
Uh,
hallway
and-
was like so long.
Yeah.
as well.
I have it had a really just a straight dark hallway, and at the very end of that was my room. So I'd walk through that and I'd hear something running across the roof.
did you find out what it was?
And then I realized that it was probably the cats running across the roof.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
no, what was that mouse? That mouse that got into you into.
oh, that was
Oh, yeah,
great.
there
Great.
was
Oh,
no
Oh,
I
yeah.
slept next to that guy. He was my
I
friend.
still have a video of that.
Um,
Oh, boy.
Good, was it?
I was at there's a it's like a it was some house, and I remember this. I'll tell the story of what they said happened to the house, but what they said was it's a house that was when it was built, a group of the people who lived there, they're the woman, like the daughter of the family, she was longing for someone to go, essentially smash. She wanted to smash someone, and a dude came to the house, and the parents, for some reason, invited them in, and the woman was wooed by his charms, and wooed, and they were playing a game of they're just on the dinner table, and something fell, so the wife looked under, and what she saw was like horse legs. I guess it was like a minotaur. You know the legs on a minotaur.
Mm.
Where like they're it was essentially that. And they looked up, and it was Satan. This is what
Oh,
they
wow.
actually told me. This is legit what they told me when I was there. And he got enraged, so he did a huge fire, and where it was, they said there was a huge hole in the roof. I don't know, probably I don't believe that part. But they said that
You believe the Satan part, but not.
no, I don't believe this. No, I don't believe the same part. I'm just telling the story that they said. And the woman, she stayed in her room for like the rest of her life, and she waited on a rocking chair that was aiming out the window, waiting for him to come back. And they said that she sat there for so long that her legs like practically fused, and they had to make a special coffin to compensate for her legs being just constantly in a 90 degrees angle. And then there's nuns, like nuns took over the place, and on the stairway up,
They
they
invaded.
say that the second floor is the most fucked part, and you're not allowed up there unless you actually pay or it's a Halloween event where you can actually go up there, and they only allow like the people like ghost hunters, and the nuns, like there's multiple occasions when they would just walk up the stairs, and but when they got to the top, they would like get pushed down for no apparent reason and die, and it happened
Do you
like
think
five
there's just a
times.
homeless guy living up there?
I don't know. Probably. But
It's kind of
the,
like
what happened to me
throw them down the stairs.
was when we went in. We actually went
Throw
to.
got thrown down the stairs and murdered.
I really wish. But we went into that room, the room when I said that there were the lady like died and like her legs fused together, and when you go in there, it's fucking freezing. It was really warm out in the hallway, but when you go into that, it's just cold and it has a really
Where's
dark
the
atmosphere.
fucking heating?
Legit, I was like, oh my god, did they open a window or something? Bro, what the fuck? And that wasn't the scary part. But when we went into the
Believe
chapel,
it or
Still not
not,
there.
there
When
was
we
something scarier than that.
when we went into the
The
chapel,
scary part, there was no fucking PC up there.
when we went into
King
the
Raptors
chapel,
is
when we
this
went
one.
into the chapel, okay, there was a chapel, and he told us, oh, let's all sit down in the chapel. I was like, all right, but I pray to God. And when we sat down, like during his like
Oh,
what he was
Lord.
saying, I
Oh, Jesus.
what I felt on the back of my neck was just like 3 fingers, just a little quick little rub at the back, and I looked behind, and there was no one behind me, and it still confuses me.
Oh, I thought there was this old
that's-
dude.
And but
He's just hiding.
It was
behind-
Alfred Lee.
God!
Oh, it was Alfred Lee.
but it was really
Alfred
weird,
Lee stroking
Now
her
that's scary.
and
That's haunted.
Lee in his fucking Banjo Kazooie skin.
and the dude who was saying there, he said the closest thing he's got to an actual like something actually ghostly happening was when a girl around the same age as the lady, with black hair, as she said to have, when she came into the girls' room, she fainted, and when she woke up, she said she saw a black thing just chase after her. Which I don't believe that. I say
Well,
that's
you
a bit
see,
bullshit.
She could have
just be racist.
fainted. She could have fainted to being scared, and then she could have, because she was in that mindset of like a ghost. She could have had a dream.
I think that's the main
of that.
thing about like ghost experiences, that you have to like
Take it with a
You
grain
have
of
to
salt.
actually
And-
believe in
yeah,
it and
things
expect
on.
it for it to
'Cause it-
happen.
Because the fingers behind your back could have just been a draft.
oh
because
yeah,
you
I know,
were-
and I felt that, and I'm like, because of like just like
Like-
everything that
What's the thing
happened in
going
one
on?
area, it really like like confuses you, and I think that's the only part. Like the thing of ghost is that if you really believe it to a point where you're just 100% sure, you're a pussy. You will be a pussy.
Wow.
But if you
And
half
that's
believe
today's
it,
lesson.
if you half believe it, you'll be not much as a pussy, and you'll get a lot of enjoyment of like of the spoops when you go into like say an abandoned building or anything.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
remember I never had it's not a ghost experience, but like it's something like, I don't know, from a dead person. So like when I was like younger, we just moved into this house, right? And my like grandmother died just like ages back before I was even born. And what was it? I remember my I saw we were looking through album of like pictures, and one was like with my nan, my like the passed away nan, and I was there, and then I was just like, I pointed at it, and I was just like, that's my grandmother, and or granny, I don't know why, but my parents were just like, what the fuck, because because they always refer to her as like Nana or something. I never heard her being called like grandmother or something. I never heard that word. So so what was weird was that the fact, and then the weirdest point was I said afterwards. It was just like, how do you know that? I was just like, because she comes and speaks to me.
Oh!
Oh, that
I
turned
did
a
that
twist.
as well. I'm not gonna lie.
And you see, then
Well, you spoke to
my
Callum.
they,
Horror stories.
Okay.
they were then they asked my brother, and then they was just like, yeah, Callum speaks to someone at the end of his bed, and he's looking at nothing.
What the fuck?
And then they were just like, what so apparently I can't remember it now, but she apparently came to used to visit me and talk to me, and I think there was another in the garden. I just talked to her in the garden. So yeah, she used to come and visit me, and I recognized, and she probably told me that she was my grandmother, because I probably at the start young Callum was like, what the fuck.
Bro, what the you?
Get out, get out. But yeah, so
No, I had a similar thing where like I had never been shown a picture of my granddad, and then like I was at my uncle's house, and I was up on my dad's shoulder, and there was a picture of him on the shelf, and I just pointed at it and went, "Oh, that's my granddad." And they'd never shown me a picture of him. They were like, "How the fuck do you know that?" And it's because apparently I was always saying that, oh, like, oh yeah, I'm talking to my special granddad, but they never knew who the fuck I was talking about. So yeah, now they're all creeped at me.
yeah,
They're
no,
all,
I was yeah,
My dad.
Um,
Yeah, sorry.
cause was yeah, cause like the thing is, my brother shared a room with me, so when they asked him, and then it turns out he said that I was speaking to just a random person, and then there was another, not me, but my cousin. So he used to live in this house. They used to live in this house, and it was I think it was known to be haunted, but they yeah, and my mom was just like every time she went there, like it was odd, and my cousin was saying that one time he went to bed, and it was a double bed, it was a bunk bed, right? So he went to bed, and he shut his eyes, and then apparently in the middle of the night he opened his eyes, and he just saw something like directly in his face staring at him. And I know it was
sleep
just
paralysis though.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. A lot of people say, but it could have been. But it's also weird. It's just like something fucking staring. Imagine that it's right up at your face, just looking at you. And I
Mm.
know it probably was sleep
I've never
paralysis.
experienced sleep paralysis, but I mentioned it to you. That's the
I
fucking terrifying thing ever.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't.
Like, have
I
you guys seen the Haunting of Hill House?
No,
Oh,
I heard it's meant to be good though. I've heard.
There's Yeah, that is really good. There's
We
one
should
of the
all watch it.
characters in that that supposedly has, just sleep paralysis, where she sees this thing, like this lady that's always somewhere with a really crooked neck when she wakes up, and she can't move or anything and do anything about it. And there's a scene in that where she opens her eyes and she sees this thing directly in front of her face, and it is obviously an actual ghost because it's fucking TV, but it just looks so terrifying.
Yeah, like I could never. I would hate that because that would probably give me PTSD after that. Because I was just like, but you see, it's only when you deprived of sleep, and I'm fucking up like 10 hours of sleep. So like,
I remember when I was younger, I had a huge fear of ET. Fucking oh my! There's one scene.
I know what you're talking about.
One
It was so scary.
Like one scene that just I actually like cried out of fear, and it's the first time you actually see him when Elliot sees him, and he does the scream. Like when the first time you hear him scream, like when Elliot shines the light, I shit myself, and I remember because when I was younger, when I'm in my bed, I would move my legs, and I wouldn't realize I was moving them, and when I'd slightly move them, I'm like, wait, who's this? What? Who's this? Who's this? And I always imagine it's E.T. just pulling my blanket, and it would fuck me up.
oh, yeah, there was I was on holiday to Spain. I think it was
Come to steal your dreams.
it was the second time. It was in 2014, I think, and it was my whole family and my English family as well, and my cousin and my brother, I think they told me about Bloody Mary.
Oh.
You know the whole
Mhm.
if you look into a mirror and do it, and
We
see.
were talking about that
And
before.
I was like, I don't know what age I was, but I was like 10 or something. So imagine a child being told about Bloody Mary, and then going to sleep.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember being told about that. It was terrifying.
yeah, I
So
couldn't for
thanks
the
for
whole
that.
holiday.
Thanks.
like-
Get out.
for the whole holiday, I had to share a bed.
Leave
I
me
had to
alone.
I had to share a bed with my brother, and there was one facing the wall. I always had to
Ooh.
go to the wall and just face the wall, even if I wanted to turn around. Nah, I was facing that wall, and I was just closing my, because I could not like sleep because like, oh, that was so weird.
For some reason, my dad let me watch what's Beetlejuice when I was like
Beetlejuice.
7.
Dude, Beetlejuice wasn't that scary.
No, but I was
I
7.
still haven't
I
seen
was 7.
Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah, you were 7.
I was
yeah,
7.
okay.
Yeah.
I
No, okay.
understand.
Like
At the age of fucking 9, okay, I was like staying. Me and my brother had to stay at his friend's house while my parents were like away, and they decided to watch The Walking Dead. And this is 9-year-old me. We're in a dark room. There's a branch tapping the window.
oh,
So they start watching it. They instantly fall asleep afterwards, and I'm lying awake shaking because there's a branch that looks like an arm tapping a window, and I'm like, the fucking zombies are gonna eat my face off.
I remember I was,
I was
okay,
so
I
scared.
remember I watched like when I was younger. I watched like a bunch of clips from The Walking Dead, and it didn't scare me. But when I saw Tobuscus play the Walking Dead game, I don't know why, but that's the one that scared me. I don't know why. I think it's when
That
Lee,
was the
like
tipping point.
when the policeman just tagged him. I was fucking shit myself.
The Telltale games were.
No, but does anyone remember Paranormal Activity? It was like a movie.
Oh
Wait,
my
no,
god!
yeah.
Oh my god!
Like,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that
There's
the one
6
you,
of them.
was that the one you showed me?
That thing is terrifying.
It might have been.
Like,
It was like it was.
That
like
was
violent.
terrifying. That was I
The name of.
see
wasn't-
because
Didn't he
what?
have a name? Didn't he have a name or something?
Toby.
Yeah,
Ironically,
yeah,
it's Toby.
Yeah.
ghost.
Yeah, I remember that. I think I was waiting. I think we were waiting for your mom, and you showed me one. It's fucking weird.
Oh, they were. Those movies terrified me because I'm really good at watching horror movies now, but when I was younger, I would not. Just couldn't survive them at all. And I was sat down with my brother one day, and I was like, we should watch one of the like a really good horror movie or something. And so he showed me the first Paranormal Activity, and I watched most of it just behind a pillow, naturally. But after it, I was like, no, we should watch the next one, and we watched the first 3 or 4 of them together, and that was my turning point for watching horror movies. And then I watched the last 2 just by myself. I was so proud, and now I'm really good at watching horror movies.
What was,
But they consistently terrified me. They were fucking scary.
They're still fucking scary.
They still, yeah, they still are.
watch them.
I've watched them too much where I know where each of the jump scares are and what they are. But if I didn't,
like-
they would still be terrifying.
You see, it's
Like,
just so homely. It's just an innocent family. Shit.
you know?
Yeah.
I never really got into watching horror movies and stuff. Like I've seen genuinely like I'm gonna try to count like I've properly watched 4 horror movies.
You know what we
It
should
was
do?
like-
You know what we should do?
I-
Next time we have the boys over, we should. You know my TV. We should use that and just
Yeah.
watch a really good horror movie.
Oh yeah, that big. TV.
Yeah.
I disagree.
That would be
We
great.
should,
No, I
I
agree.
still
I get to
cannot
pick
watch
the movie though,
horror
because
movies.
last time I told someone to put on a good horror movie, they put on Insidious, and it's fucking terrible.
Oh,
All of the
well-
Insidious movies are terrible. All right,
Well, like,
anyone
what would
that
you
thinks
say is a good
otherwise
horror
is
movie?
stupid.
I
The
think
Paranormal
Nightmare-
Activity movies, if you haven't seen them before, are so good.
What about
what-
Nightmare on Elm Street. My mum.
I haven't seen it.
I'm
But that's just one of the classics. It's not actually scary,
Guys,
I don't think.
Scary
I
anymore.
It's
remember
like
when I
watching
was
one of
10.
the things, yeah.
I remember when I was kind of 10, I watched Jaws, and that was the turning point for my love of sharks. Like, because of Jaws, I just became a huge, like,
I've never heard Guru talk about sharks
Like,
once.
oh
Yeah,
my
me
god.
neither.
No, legit, you guys don't understand. I fucking love sharks to the brim. I had toys of sharks. I remember,
That's crazy.
I didn't think of Jaws as a horror movie. I thought it as a fucking, like, action film.
It's because it's not. It's a thriller.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
And I remember, someone, like, in my school, he was messing with me because I was just a bullied little bitch. And because they came around that I loved sharks. And he said, oh, in the 5th Jaws movie, there was a chainsaw, and he killed Jaws by using a chainsaw as he got eaten by it. and I was like, oh, that's weird. That's kind of weird. And then only now I realized he was talking about Sharknado. He was talking about
Oh,
Sharknado.
no. Like, I remember the first horror movie I watched. I was at my friend's house, and it was me, him, his older sister, and his younger brother, who was like 6. We watched Misery. Did you ever see that movie Misery?
No.
It was like the
No.
Stephen King book that they made into a movie,
Oh,
like
wait.
all of his other books.
What was the plot about?
Misery. It was like this writer.
Yeah, what
he
was it
made
about?
books called Misery. It's like a misery.
Yeah, but
series.
what was it? What was it about?
Well, that's what it is. It's this author, and he makes like these
It's
books.
just about
and
misery.
he he gets in a car crash and he breaks both of his legs, but then someone saves him. Someone saves him from the wreckage, and she's like a
I know
super
this
fan
one.
of the books, and like she.
Oh, the
she
stalker
lives in
bitch.
the middle
Yeah.
of
Family
nowhere.
Guy
She's
did
like,
Family
can't
Guy did a
call the-
mockery of this, and oh,
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I can't call the hospital. We're in the middle of nowhere." And it's like, "Oh shit!" And he starts writing the next book, and her favorite character dies in it, and she like, I can't remember this. This was like 6 or 7 years ago, so I can't remember perfectly what happens. But there's this one scene where he's bedbound. He can't get up because his legs are like shattered. But like they're like repairing obviously because he's like laying down. And she gets like a sledgehammer and she like stands on like the end of the bed and like hits like inwards on his ankles and breaks his ankles again. And it's like holy
Oh.
shit. And I was like 8 watching this.
This sounds
no,
good. I
I
want to
just
watch this.
remember.
It
I
was
just remember
scary,
the
man.
Family Guy. Fucking. The only reason I know this storyline is because the Family Guy episode.
Like
So
there's
one of
nothing,
those where
like,
just to recreate it.
paranormal. There's nothing paranormal about the movie. It's just the
Yeah,
scary.
It's just a good film. It's just a good
It's
film with a
it's
good plot.
Just a cool, interesting story.
You know,
It was,
Silent Hill
Mm.
got a sequel.
There's some really amazing not supernatural horror movies.
I think those are probably better than
like
The majority of the time they are the better ones.
Yeah, like a lot of horror movies now, they always focus more on what's scary than the storytelling and the story writing, which is completely what it's
Oh, that's
about,
why I
like,
really didn't like Bird Box. Bird Box
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
whichever of the other ones was like everyone was rating as this really amazing like scary movie and stuff, but there's just nothing to it.
It
Like,
wasn't
the whole
scary
thing
at
is
all.
that it's a this evil demon thing that you can't see, but it shows you your worst nightmare or whatever.
I don't.
But it's just an excuse because it means they just look in a direction and suddenly they want to kill themselves.
You know the thing is.
And
the thing
it's
is,
just not interesting.
everyone like all of a sudden just agreed. Yeah, it's it's your worst nightmare, and then you kill yourself. It can't be that because on so many occasions when I watched the film, one of the women, like one of the people who died in it, she looks up and like sees it, and she goes, "Mom," and then she just fucking killed herself. No, like it doesn't like it's such a. It's such a like.
Oh yeah, there's no actual like proper designation as to what it is, and then just for
It's a-
some reason some people live after it and go insane, and some people don't. It's just a bad movie. It's
I-
just not
I
very good
haven't
at all.
seen it. I watched like an
Yeah.
analysis on
either.
it though, because that's my
remember-
excuse. I've watched if watching the analysis of horror movies counted as watching a horror movie, I've seen hundreds of horror movies.
I remember.
I've seen all of them.
I remember I watched. It wasn't a movie. It was like a TV part series, but it was like it was fucking. It was like a poltergeist. It was called and the
Oh,
Enfield Haunting.
I know
or
exactly
something.
what you're on about.
Yeah, I
Enfield
think-
Haunting. Yeah,
I think
that
it's
was really
so-
good.
It's so good. I only watched one part though because I was young and my
This is a
parents were like,
fucking pussy.
"No,
Uh-huh.
no, wait, yeah." We were watching it and we were like, okay, we started the first part and me and my brother were watching it, and my brother was just like, "Yeah, I'm older. I'm gonna be good." I watched it straight through. I was like, well, it was scary, but I was like, fine. My brother was just hiding behind a cushion for the whole thing. And then it's just like I wasn't allowed to watch any more of it. I was just like, what the fuck? I like begged my mom, and she's like, no. But the first part is so fun. Like they're playing hide and seek in a graveyard. Well, no, he hides in like a grave, and then apparently the poltergeist comes back, and the poltergeist comes with them to the house, and what's it called? Oh,
Just
fuck.
like fucks them up.
Yeah. I remember that the one part where it's just like
I know there was that scene where the little girl gets possessed by the guy, and he suddenly starts talking in a really deep voice, and it's like, "My name is Joe," and then the fish tank explodes or something.
Joe
It's
Mama.
genuinely really good though, because it's all based on
Joe
it's all based on an actual haunting, like an actual family that had a poltergeist, and all the stuff in it is stuff that happened to that family. And it's
What's
really good.
that
Well,
one film? The one, okay, when it's
No,
the,
wait, woman. There's just you you guys could remember the end of part one where it's just like there's nothing here. They're like there's nothing here, and then they're like, guys, check this out, and the bird's neck is just snapped or something.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just
The
like,
I
bird
haven't
gets
seen
killed.
this, so I'm
that's
just
where
like,
it
what
ends.
the fuck?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
there
same.
was another part where it was just like the kid was acting up because he was mad, so he like drew on the walls, and then they got rid of it, and then it happened again, and they were like, "What the fuck? Why did you do
Oh
this again?"
yeah, and
It was like,
it
it
just wasn't
wasn't
him.
me. Yeah, and then it was just like fuck, and then there
Wait
was
a
another
minute.
wasn't it? It's you know what's so creepy? You know when like siblings share a room and they're like the beds are on opposite sides. That's the weirdest. I know
Oh
why.
yeah.
It's just odd, but remember the cupboard scene or something where the like wardrobe or something just goes
Yeah,
down
I
and
think
they
that's like
hang.
the first scene when they're both
Yeah.
in their room and they share the same room. They're sat on the same bed playing a game or something like that. And then suddenly they hear like a knocking noise or something like that. And their mum comes in because it's so loud. And they're like, what the fuck is that noise? And then they look at the cabinet. It's coming from the cabinet, and then it starts shaking, and then it just gets launched across the room towards them.
Yeah, like
It's really good. It is a great,
oh,
yeah.
I love
typing.
the way we're just spoiling shows now.
Yeah.
We're not really, but like it's
What
just
was?
like
It's just certain
Wasn't there
scenes that are
supposed?
like,
Yeah, wasn't there supposed to be one where it's like, if Superman was not very cool?
If
Like,
Superman
Oh,
was
Superman
like,
was
I
really
watched that. It's actually
Brightburn.
really good.
Brightburn.
is it?
Oh,
Yeah, I
It's
haven't-
not
actually
good.
very
It
good.
seems.
It's
It
so
I
seems
dumb.
just really
interesting.
enjoyed watching
I
like
found
the
it so
fucking
funny.
guy murder everyone.
Yeah,
Like it seemed. It
because it's
seemed
just
like it was on the route to be good because it's like an
Yeah,
okay
they didn't
concept
Alright,
like it's not
cool.
as good as it could have been. It could have been
with
the
what
best
it
thing
looks
ever.
like
But
decent execution, and then I just didn't hear anything about it ever.
mm,
You know,
it has one of the guys from Breaking Bad in it, but it's just like there's some really gory scenes, and that equates to
isn't
some
enough
people as
kill.
being scary. And I just found it so funny because everyone is terrified. It's like this really, really devastating force, and it's just this little kid. There's
Yeah.
one of the scenes near the end where basically the entire house has been destroyed, and he's just circling it. He's just flying around at like lightning speed
No.
around this house,
Like,
and you just
let's
see him
not
for like
say-
split frames, of just this little kid just like flying through the doorway, and it's
No,
like,
but
oh my
it was-
god, run!
No, but like in the very end, I'm not going to say what it is. We won't spoil it. But the very end, when it's like,
Oh yeah,
how has a little kid done this?
oh yeah.
Like
It's so dumb, and then it goes through this whole section of like other occurrences of this stuff, and it's all references to other Marvel movies and other superheroes and stuff. They're all villains, and it's just so dumb.
is it a Marvel movie? Was
No.
it made by
No,
Marvel?
no,
Yeah,
no,
with
no.
it- oh,
It's just a different thing.
Was with not to bring it back up, but like with the Enfield horn, just what I loved about is just like how strong the storyline is, how strong the story is compared to like yeah the scary parts and everything, but like just all the background and everything, just like at the start where like the kid is like hiding in a grave and that's how he came with him. That's just like
Yeah,
it's just such
yeah.
a
Well, I mean,
like
it's
strong
all
plot.
based on a true story, so
Yeah.
they had that actual backup of
Oh,
What they
like the
think
whole
happened.
backstory to it and all that,
it's
Yeah,
so
what they
because
think
it
I-
actually
it's-
happened.
I think
just
that's
dramatized.
the one way to do a poltergeist story, and to make it sound like make it sound, give it a foundation, so that it's not just it's there for the sake of it being there. And I think that's a big problem with people with like the whole point of like the shaky cam. You know, they like it's recovered footage.
The first person films can be really good or really terrible because they just use it as an excuse for you to not actually see anything, and they just throw the camera about the place when something's happening.
Blake, remember the
Oh,
one
yeah,
you
but
showed?
That's
The
a-
one.
that's
movie
a
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield. I haven't seen Cloverfield. I know my
It's not-
dad likes it, but
I'm-
there's this
People
one
were
called
complaining.
Contagion.
Oh yeah,
There's this
Contagion,
one
isn't it? The
called
guy from
Contagion.
Breaking
Yeah.
Bad?
don't know. I
It's
don't
either
remember him being there
Contagion or
anyway.
Pandemic or something. He's in like some disease movie, and it's on Netflix
Yeah.
because the world is ending.
Blake,
because of
remember
coronavirus.
Yeah.
the
But no, with Contagion, the thing about that is that it was just it's all done in first person because it's news reporters or whatever. But whenever
Oh, yeah.
anything is happening, they're just screaming as loud as they can so you can't hear anything and throwing the camera about, or the camera starts like flickering so it has a flashlight on it, and it's so annoying because you're just like, well, now I just can't see anything.
Do you guys wanna? Can I tell you one thing that you guys have to watch, and the people listening, watch the SCP-096's short film. It's a fucking. It's so good. Like it's a horror. It's scary. It's not like too scary, but just it's the foundation of it is so well made, and the actual
Is
film itself.
096 the shy guy?
Yeah, Shy Guy, and it's so good, and you never see his face in the actual film, not once, and
Well, yeah,
it-
that makes sense because
and-
you're not
Yeah, that
supposed
makes
to.
yeah,
sense.
and they show how strong, like how fucking insane he is, without
Mm.
making it sound stupid. Like if I just say, oh, he was able to survive the gun from an A10 Warthog, the gun that they call the gun. That sounds a bit stupid. But the best part about it is when the whole point of it was the doctor wanted to kill it, but he didn't get permission from the Foundation. So what he did is that he recovered a photo with 096 in it, and he gave it to a farmer. And the farmer saw it, and he broke out just to go over there, obviously. And when they recovered the photo and they figured out that it was it was 096, it was only 4 pixels. Just imagine, like you have no idea about it because it's only 4 pixels, but he will kill you, and oh, it's so good.
Okay.
It's like just with the like poltergeist horror movies are just the scariest to me because like they're like because poltergeist like seeing something and just it's popping around and just vibing it's like it
Mm.
looks scary, it's fine, but like poltergeists have like a thing like they're not just doing actions, they're like sending a message to you through like
Mm.
different things. Like most of the time it's get out, but when the message isn't get out, when movies do something, oh, we're not gonna just do a get out kind of movie, it's just like this is a good movie, it's just like sending a message, and then it's like I know I've never thought of it in this way, but it's like just a jigsaw, you're trying to get his message across. Like usually it's like get the fuck out, but it's also a lot with those movies is why is he doing this, like what's his story, they're trying to find out his
Yeah.
story. And then when you find his story, it's always like it's always so normal in a sense, but at the same time really fucked. I don't know.
That's what I find really annoying about some movies. They do that really badly. Is that
Yeah.
it's just what all they're focused on is, oh, what's his like reasoning behind
What's
this?
his
Why is he
fucking
doing it
deal?
and stuff? And it's like, why does that matter if he's trying to straight up murder you right now? Okay, you have priorities.
Yeah, if there's a crazy murderer in your house, you're not like, why is he
It's like,
trying to murder me?
Why?
Was something wrong in his childhood?
Excuse me, sir. Did you have a rough time growing up?
Go.
Would
Then
you like a
everyone's
rub?
Just whips out a notepad while like the poltergeist is throwing shit around the room. So what
He
has
seems
made you-
angry.
You seem like, would you like to get it off your chest?
Can you explain to me what you're feeling right now?
No,
Throws
but
a
like the
fucking
thing
bed
is,
across the room. It's like
as
slight
well, when it's
anger.
like, why don't they just call people?
He's feeling the
usually, or
urge to
leave the
strike me.
house? They always
Imagine-
stay in the house. They never leave.
Yeah,
they never leave. Yeah,
Just-
they're always like.
they never use common sense.
But
To be fair, that's what we were talking about earlier about
a
being
quote,
if people
excuse.
did use common sense in movies, they'd be pretty
They would.
boring.
Yeah, there would be no.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, the Enfield thing was so, and they didn't fucking leave. Well, I think they did. Never mind.
Well, yeah, but that's because that the whole thing about that is that they were a poor family. They had nowhere to go.
Yeah. Even
Yeah,
though they
there's
had
always-
a pretty
yeah.
pretty slick house, to be honest.
Whenever the poltergeist, it's like you have to go. It's like fuck off. There's always like a excuse. It's like
Yeah.
oh,
Like, oh,
you know,
but we want
the
to know
house
what's
is for
happening.
sale. We can't let anyone know it's haunted. We can't just leave. And then
Oh,
oh
yeah.
yeah, it's fine. So we have to stay. And there's always just a reason. But
There's
it's
always
always a really
Um,
thin,
you know the-
bad reason.
You know the Conjuring universe. The Conjuring.
seen
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I haven't seen any of them
I,
actually.
I I watched I watched the Conjuring 1 and 2. I haven't watched Annabelle, and that's they're in the same universe. And Conjuring 1 and Conjuring 2 and the Annabelle 1 are really good because they are based off real things. The Annabelle doll is an actual doll by the people
Oh yeah.
in the Conjuring. The two like detectives in the Conjuring universe are real people, and they actually have the Annabelle doll.
Yeah,
And
like oh
Didn't BuzzFeed Unsolved? They did an episode on Annabelle, on the Annabelle doll, like the real life doll,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
watched it.
I remember there was this like a box and it's like don't touch this because you're gonna like it's gonna fucking possess you and fuck. And then it's like the stories about people who like and touches it. And then apparently there was one guy who touched the box, went back and died in a car crash when he was going home.
Yeah,
That was
Oh
the
yeah.
Annabelle box, and he's in the film. They said I don't think that's the true part when they said in the back he barely when he was in bed before he died. He said that he saw the Annabelle doll in his rear mirror, and then he crashed, um, and then he
Oh,
died.
that'd be fucked.
that's so fucked. My
Mhm.
dad. I remember this was a few years ago, but I remember this. My dad told me when he was driving home from work once. He said that whatever way he looked in the rearview mirror, he saw the Annabelle doll in the back, and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, Dad." Just like, all right. I'm not
Yeah, no,
too.
there was
I don't
my
really
dad
believe in
has had a
ghosts.
few weird experiences, like driving to places in his car. Like he was when it was him and my mum they were going somewhere, and they were just driving down this really dark, super quiet like country lane or something like that. And there was just this thing on the side of the road. It was like it because this isn't a supernatural encounter or anything. They thought it was like an alien encounter because it looked like an alien just stood on the side of the road, and they drove past it really quickly, and they looked at each other, and Dad says, Did you see that?" And Mum was like, "Yeah, I did." And they just had no idea what it was.
Oh, that's
Is
so
that it? They
fucked.
just didn't even go back or anything. Just oh,
Why
Well,
how,
would
like, why
they?
would
Why,
they?
how weird.
it's
It
not.
was just,
You see,
yeah.
in a horror movie, they would have, but
They would have gone
no
back and
one
just like
would.
stayed in the field all night or something.
It's like we
No,
have
they
to
would
look
have.
for this and
We have
hopefully
to
not
find
die.
this thing.
um,
It's
And then
like
they'll die, and then that's the
like
beginning of the horror
Yeah.
movie. And then the
it's
detectives will look into it, and then they'll die.
Yeah.
it's like
You know,
the was it? It's like
Exactly. They could have had
was
a
it?
whole thing going.
But to be honest, it does work with some people. Some people would genuinely go and invest it because you know that saying "curiosity kills the cat." You know that
Yeah.
saying. Like there was it was like a
Could sum
guy.
up every horror movie with
There's like an
that saying.
illusionist or like it's a guy called something Brown or something. I know. He's really famous. I forgot.
Darren Brown. I've seen
Darren
that.
Brown, yeah.
Yeah, I've
Darren
saw
And
Brown.
his
he's like,
videos.
there's like this like building site, right? And like there's this peephole, and it says don't look in the hole, and then it
And then
recorded,
they
and
look in the hole.
obviously, yeah, because obviously you would want to too, wouldn't you? You would have
Yeah,
to
you
like
would.
Yeah.
I was sticking my pee
when
pee
you're
in the
told
hole.
when you're told not to do something, you want to do it, right? So it's
Mhm.
just like
Drugs.
so he walks over, he peeps into the hole, and then you just see him fucking faint. He just faints, and it's
Mm.
just like, what the fuck? And then there was another one. It was another example of when you're told curiosity kills cat, or when you're told not to do something. You're like thing is, and it's like explains how, like even though you have grown up, there's still like the kind of like 5-year-old thing to like in you a tiny bit.
Mm.
There's still
Charlie, you
remnants of
can't
it.
tell me what to do.
Yeah, and there was this little kitten in a box, right? And it was like it was given a timer, and if she pressed the button, was it uh the kitten would die or get electrocuted, and it was like this. He was like she genuinely believed it because he was like this is completely legal. This will work, and so obviously she didn't want to kill the fucking kitten, but at the very start he offered her tea, and then it was just like, and then he gave her juice, and then she was just like, why'd you give me? I asked for I wanted tea. He's like, oh yeah,
Kitten
but
juice.
there was just one there was just one tea bag left. I'm sorry, and that's like the first example of being treated like a child, because like you know when it's just like, oh, I'm older, I get this, you know, it's that
Mm.
kind of thing. So it was the first thing, and it was like they started talking and stuff, and he walks out the room, but first he turns around and he's just like, um, was it? Oh, and also don't touch that button, and then it just starts playing with you, and then in their head, And then she goes over, starts playing with the kitten and everything. It's about to turn a couple seconds. She fucking presses the button. She's like, really? She's like, no, no, I can't. And then presses it. The kitten just fucking dies because he's not fucking, he's not a monster.
He's not actually
But
gonna kill the kitten.
Yeah, and then Dan Brown just gives her the kitten like, yeah, you would have fucking killed the kitten, but like, nah, let's play with it more now. So it's just really, it's interesting though. It's just like you're so curious that that you do something like that. But yeah,
If we can go back to like the ghost stories and stuff, like if our own ghost story, I don't ghosts, not really, but the closest I ever came to possibly seeing one was I was in Scouts and we were sleeping out on Spike Island. You know the
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
prison,
I did that
yeah.
as well.
they're
Yeah.
always such locations where you'd like it would be like
It's like the worst place for like to be stuck on with a serial killer because
Yeah.
you can only it's only one way off. It's an
Mhm.
island and you can't
Yeah.
swim off because it's like the middle of the night or whatever. But
We
we
were
were
gonna
there.
And
go
well,
to
it was
a-
designed so that
That's
it
a
was
fun-
like
It was designed. It's
for
a prison.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah, there
Alcatraz
was there was a
of
prison break there, and they just couldn't escape after they got out of the
Yeah.
prison. They just had to wait to get arrested again because there was no way off of the island.
Yeah. He was telling us about that actually when we were there. The
There's a
tour guide,
prison
like they all
guard.
broke out and they
Yeah.
just went onto the roof.
Oh,
Just went down
Yeah,
the
they were
roof.
like,
the thing is, the
yeah,
I
we
want.
broke out.
I was,
Then
I
they
was,
got
I was thinking to myself,
Yeah.
that would make a great comedy film because it just went wrong in all the best ways. Because when they were burning
Yeah.
down the prison, they burnt down the place with all the food and the ammunition, so they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Oh
They
yeah,
burned-
they just fucked
Yeah, they
everything
burnt
up.
down-
And then
they
the
didn't
ar-
burn down the other ones, nah, but they burnt down the one.
And then they sent the army up, and then the army just went back down because they already had the handles. So it was great.
But yeah, we were there and we were sleeping there overnight, which was just flawless
wonderful.
idea. We were like, me and my friend Alex were the oldest there, and we were like 13. We were like the oldest like scouts there. They were
Big
obviously
boys.
leaders. It wasn't just but like we were all there, and my friend Alex and one of the other guys, they went off, and we were doing orienteering, where you look at a map and you go to the places because we were in Scouts, and it was like the worst thing ever on the
Wait,
island.
is Spike Island even big enough to do that?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
if
quite
you're
big,
walking
actually.
around,
Yeah,
it's
Spike Island's
huge.
really big.
It's,
We
yeah,
never
it
did
really
that
is.
when we went over there.
You're probably just
Wait, did you
thinking
get
of
to
like
go into the tunnels, Daniel?
Yeah,
we could go
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much anywhere because
It's
Oh,
good. It's
we could
got
go pretty-
it's got a residential area at the like
yeah,
coast
like a lot of the
Oh
guards.
yeah, yeah, it
A lot
does.
of the guards have to sleep over there
and the
during the
family
night,
and
for
stuff.
security, obviously, because
Sleepover.
people are gonna break in. People are gonna break into
break
Spike
in.
Island.
Role reversal.
I'm gonna
Break
break
into
in.
It's not
prison.
even. It's not even an active prison anymore.
I'll have the turns.
Yeah.
available.
But anyway,
Yeah, it's just a
we were-
tourist
they were
place.
going around and like I saw my friend Alex and the guy he was with, and they were like frantic. They were like, holy fucking shit! They couldn't believe it. They were walking around the side of the prison, and they looked down at like this bunker
Mm.
kind of thing, and they saw a person who like it was meant to be just us there. I think I can't remember perfectly, but they saw a person, and they were like, he was a soldier army guy in green uniform, and he had a beret, and he had really thin glasses on, and I was like, all right, and they were like, we think it was a ghost, and we were like everyone else there, they were all like, oh my god, they saw a ghost, and I was like, did they?
Did they really?
It was like
Wait, was this him and a tour guide or something?
No, this was him. No, like we went around in groups of 2 doing orienteering with the maps, and it was
Oh.
him and one of the other scouts. They were walking around and they saw the ghost.
Oh,
The ghost.
Um,
And he went back and he told everyone, and I was like, what are you talking about, man? I don't believe in ghosts. So,
Turns out
so obviously I was just like, this is a load of shit.
Turns out it was
then-
just like a mannequin, and that they actually put in there.
It's
as
just
just
one
like
of the
a
tour
guy.
guides that was like, get fucked.
Yeah, but they went back and they told one of the guys who works security there. He was like, oh, I can't remember what they called him exactly, but he said that was the Grenadier Ghost, and they were all like, oh my god.
oh, they were just fucking with them.
clearly-
They were
And I was
just
like,
fucking with them.
Shut up! Oh my god.
That was clearly just get at the scout. Just 'cause
Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
he probably knew that. I'm gonna look that up now.
I looked it up on the night actually, and I saw that there was something about like a Grenadier Ghost on Spike Island, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, so
Um,
they
but,
like paid to fucking say
And then
that.
Daniel
If you
got
say
visited
anything.
in the night
But then
by the Grenadier Ghost.
then later on we did orienteering again, but it was like at nighttime, so it was spooky, and we had radios.
Wait, so was
Spooky
it not nighttime
orienteering.
the first time?
No, it wasn't. No, this was like midday. This was
Oh.
like the middle of the day.
Oh,
So
then-
like they
yeah,
just,
then they
they
forgot.
saw a ghost at like 12 o'clock.
Yeah, no, no.
But then
they're
it was like
daylight.
then it was like 10 and it was really dark. And we were going around using radios doing orienteering again. But this time we had someone there who was working with us. But we were going around and we were the last group coming back, my group, because we were just really lazy and didn't do it. And we kept going like Roger Roger into the walkie-talkie like the fucking droids in Star Wars.
Put the Roger Roger
Upside
Roger
down.
back.
We got in trouble for that. I got in trouble. For that. But we came back and there was this we went in and this was really weird. There was a magician. There was a magician who came to the
Ooh,
island
Spoopy!
to do magic for us. And he was telling us about how he went to like Michael Jackson's mansion before he died
Mansion.
and did magic there as well. And we were like, oh, okay.
That's actually cool though.
It was cool. It was cool to hear about, and like the magic was pretty. He did like the bendy spoon thing, where you like rub the spoon, it just kind of bends.
Oh yeah.
And we were like,
Yeah,
oh, shit.
yeah.
And then we all went outside, and I went outside first because I was big balls. I was 13.
That was
course.
a massive car.
I led the way with my massive balls. And
My
I walked
uncut
past the
cock.
cannon that was outside the office we were like eating in, and like we had the magic show in. And I walked out and I walked past the cannon, and then everyone else came out after me, and they were like, "Holy shit!" and they all started screaming. And because,
Mm.
like, get this, everyone saw a ghost sitting on the cannon that I just walked past and was out of my sight.
Right.
Dude.
And I was just like, "Oh yeah." So everyone who was there on the island, besides me, just saw a ghost. Apparently, it was the same. There was the same fucking guy who they saw down at the bunker.
It would
And
make sense because before it was a prison, it was a fortress for
Yeah, it was a military outpost.
military
Yeah,
outposts,
yeah, but I
And
thought it was a
if
little
we're-
shit,
if-
so I didn't.
if
and
we're not-
the
Well, yeah.
glasses and the thin glasses would kind of make sense because that's what the kind of style was then.
It was like really. They said like my friend Alex. He said that he had really thin glasses. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
if you if,
So
we're-
very
So
specific
that's so
detail.
cool.
if we're gonna keep
It's
on with
like-
ghost stories, I want to say something about my dad. My dad is incredibly superstitious. Like he would, if you say anything about,
He would not walk under a ladder. He would never do that.
like,
He'd
okay,
never wear sunglasses inside.
when my granddad and his nan and his my oh my god my granddad and my
Fucking hell.
nana died and
It
on
felt
his
like
side,
I just had my own seizure.
when
Just trying to translate.
when his
it.
granddad when my granddad died, he was in the call and they had like a loan, and he was trying to figure out all about it, and he was saying like, oh yeah, there's no insurance on it, and my dad said thanks to my granddad, he just gave me the instinct to pick up this one piece of paper, and it's explained how they actually had insurance on the loan so that when he died, they didn't have to pay it. And I was like, okay, that's a bit dumb. That's not the true one. That's not spoopy. And then when my nana died, he told me that you better be careful when you're moving these paintings because your nana told me to never ever move them, and I never got hit by it. But my dad like ended up just having like bruises on his hips, and I think that he was just being an idiot. I don't. But the only thing that actually happened that was kind of spoopy was where my nana died. There was a leak, and the water came down to exactly where she died. And my dad told me, "Oh, get all the religious Jesus statues. Oh, get Mary, get fucking Mary." And when we put them there, it then stopped. But I was like, "Oh, that's a coincidence."
The thing is,
What
I
a coincidence.
genuinely kind of I kind of like believe, but like the thing is with the painting, if I was you, and your dad told me, that the nan was just like never moved you, I would be like, fuck that, nah, I'm out of here. I'm
Okay,
gone.
okay.
I'm like, you can fucking move. I'm gone.
If
I'm not involved.
I felt like I felt like I was safe because my dad said, "Oh, okay, we're gonna do a prayer before we move these," and I was like, "All right, okay." But my dad said out loud, "Oh, Garod's gonna use these paintings for his own art, and he's gonna use them as inspiration." And I'm like, Yeah, of course I would love to.
That's exactly what I was planning to do.
I would just be moving the
Please
paintings.
don't
I
kill
just,
me.
Please don't hurt me, please. I have to do this. I don't want to do this.
Bro, you know what messed up my dad though? My dad, he has a huge fear of fucking birds. Like, I hate how he's a fear of birds because every time there's a bird in the house, he's literally, he says, "Oh, I'm the man of the house." He says that, and
Do you not remember, Daniel, when the bird attacked, like, was just chilling in Garrod's room and he had to ask us what we
Yeah.
should do? That was
What?
like
No.
a year ago.
No, that was Fionn.
He
I
was
think that was
pa-
Fionn.
Oh no, that was Fionn, yeah.
That was
Fuck.
Fionn in his kitchen. There was a bird in Fionn's house at
Oh,
one day,
yeah.
and he was in
Give me
Discord,
his
and his
dog,
mum
because
came
the
in and was
dog
like,
did
"There was just
nothing.
oh wait, no, Fionn was the only one in the house." And so we just occasionally hear Fionn from the other room, just like, "What are you doing?" Just shouting
Oh, yeah,
at
I
his
remember
dog.
this.
And he'd walk in like every 20 minutes to be like, "Guys, this just isn't working. He's still in the house." And we'd be like, "Fionn, he's still in the house." And he'd be like, "Yes."
Bird in the
Guys,
house.
guys,
No.
guys, back a few months ago, right? We went into like when we were in school. Our year went into for PE into the PE hall, and we saw one of the caretakers like outside at like the lobby area of the PE hall, and we were wondering what the hell is going on. So we asked him, and he said, "Just look at the window. We look at the window. We see a crow just constantly jumping." Right? Not like flying around, not anything, just jumping
hopping,
in
just
place.
hopping on the
Yeah, no,
spot.
just hopping in place at the window. So we stare at it for like ages. We all start like jumping in time with it.
Like,
What?
your
Naturally.
mic's crackly or something. I don't know.
Yeah, your mic's a bit
Is it?
robotic. It's fine.
Okay,
Finish your
one
story
second.
and then like
Is it better now?
brief
not-
intermission.
it's
I know,
No.
it's
Okay.
Karen.
So everybody started jumping with the crow. So we did PE normally, right? We
Right.
came back.
But the crow was your
still
instructor.
there. No, the crow was still there. The crow was there for 2 hours,
Oh
just
my.
jumping in place.
He's just chilling, alright?
I remember my mum.
You can't fault the man for vibing.
My mum told me a story, and they just after watching. I forgot. I don't know the fucking name, but it was one of the ones with crows or something, and they attacked like.
The
fucking-
birds.
Was it called Birds?
I don't know, birds. I don't know. It was a movie about when crows like all lined up and they gathered and then they just attacked people. Like,
When
Yeah,
the
I
crows
think
bite
that's
back.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, and my mom and her sister were just after watching that, and they were sitting out on a bench, and then a bunch of birds just started like lining up on the power lines, and they just sprinted. They just
Out of
went.
there. Gone.
Yeah, they were just gone.
You know how the people say, "Oh, these statues move," like the religious statues move. I don't really believe it. But then my mom, she was on watching a documentary, and it was about a priest like who doesn't believe that these like Jesus or Hail Mary statues were moving. And my mom was like scoffing at it, and I'm like, "Man, why are you scoffing at it?" And she goes, "I saw a statue move with your grandmother and with your father. Its face, it was a Hail, and her face started coming out of the statue, and it was phasing, and your grandmother started crying. I was in shock, and your grandfather didn't.
What did they take?
No, wait. And she said that my granddad didn't actually see the like he saw the statue but didn't see what was going on, and he was looking at them as my nana was crying. My mom was in shock, and he was constantly like, "What the fuck's wrong you now there? What the fuck?"
Chill the fuck out.
But, like, if
They-
you-
they
Yeah,
can't-
my mom said that her and her dad saw that too, and we went out to where it happened, and it didn't happen again.
Aw.
If it happened again, I would have shook my face.
I always found those statues of Mary and stuff always nice and peaceful. They always look nice, and I don't know why. They
In
just
the
like
city, there's so many of them in the city where I live. Like,
Yeah,
there's so many. There's
There's so
that's all. That's it. That's all I have to say. There's so many.
This is so many.
So
They're
many.
like everywhere
Like,
because
no,
like all the old.
they don't do them as well as the one in Mallow. No.
The one
There's
at the
two
roundabout's a
in
really
Mallow.
nice
Two in
one.
Mallow.
The one at the
Where
roundabout's really nice.
The one at
Yeah,
the
there's one at the roundabout.
There's
Oh,
one.
yeah.
There's
At
one on
the
that
car
like
park.
cliff bit
The one that I was
they all
hanging
look
out.
the same, but I just
that
like
was
the
closed
the-
off for fucking
you know
ever.
the shade of blue is actually really nice. I like the shade of blue.
It's a nice baby blue, and I think that's why Mary's so nice. It's just a nice
It's
baby
nice,
blue.
even though she's a fucking virgin, dude.
It's
you
been
know,
a real
it's just-
interesting episode of the podcast.
It has.
know,
it
yeah.
has.
I just want to say,
I
guys.
haven't been
I've
talking
barely
this
spoken.
Entire,
Yeah, same.
yeah, no, I've been talking this entire time, and it's much better that way.
And I haven't said any controversial joke.
Hearing you like rant is amazing.
It was no.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
topics for this episode were quite enjoyable.
I think Minecraft and Spoopy Stories is a brilliant name for this
Minecraft.
podcast.
Yeah.
And
What did
you
we
know
talk about? He
just-
talked about Minecraft, pedophiles,
Horror
paranormal
movies.
How did we
actions,
get
horror
from,
movies, and religious
Minecraft
statues.
pedophiles to this.
we
That's a
talked
really-
about
you'll have
that
to
in a
watch it
span of
later.
an hour and a half.
Mm.
That's
All
been
I-
an hour
Jared,
and a
you have to cut this together so that each like section is kept to its own section.
We would have then
Does that
it
make
wouldn't be enough time. Like if wait what?
Anyway.
This is
I
like 2
think
hours worth of recording
This,
anyway.
has
So.
been, this
Yeah.
has been a good video, guys.
This was a good
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure
I
to
don't
like
suppose.
and subscribe. Make sure to go follow to our social media handles down below, and make sure to go to the FAFFCast Twitter, FAFFCast Instagram, and whatnot. And make sure to subscribe. Watch our next one, and make sure to watch our past FAFFCast episodes as well.
Yeah, do that.
They were
Where we
much
talk
worse.
about
Yeah,
less
but do it.
uninteresting things, but this one was
But
good.
make sure to watch the bloopers, because I put so much effort
Just
into that.
watch them
please.
all, please.
Yeah,
Please,
no, the bloopers
please,
are
watch
Please.
really
it,
good.
please,
watch
we
it.
need money.
Please.
If you click on the
We're
vi-
not making any
the
money.
bloopers
This is for
video,
their sake.
if you click on the bloopers video for at least 1 second, so that it counts as a view, because otherwise Garud will have a fucking hissy fit. So let's please.
You do not know how much
Oh my God.
effort I put into that, Cal.
Please.
He's
Keep the
having a
road
stroke,
happy.
please.
Watch
I
it.
will
Like
fucking
a
smite you
stroke.
with the power of Jesus in a
Somebody
second, alright?
dying.
All right, nice,
Nice.
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 All right.
So, see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.